Hello and welcome to EastEnders Weekly, your one and only podcast all about EastEnders. This week we'll be talking about episodes from the 12th to the 16th of March, so spoilers are ahead. I'm Ben and I'm here with Alex once again. Hello.
Hello. Good evening, sir.
Have you enjoyed this week?
Yeah, it's been a very different week. After the high tension of last week, We've had a much more relaxed.
Bit more relaxed. Another relaxing day of chess, wasn't it, to ease us in?
Yes. Well, they played. This is with Patrick and
Bernadette and
Ted. And Patrick and Ted were in the shed playing a very intense game. And then Patrick won, and so said to Ted, "Oh, okay, this time let's play for money." And Ted was like, "Okay then." And Bernadette was like, "No, don't do that, Ted." And
I know she's learning, isn't she?
She's learning.
She's learning from her master.
Wax on, wax off. It was like watching the Karate Kid, because Ted said, "This isn't. I'm not playing. You're going to play on my behalf." And Bernadette's shocked by this response. And so then there was a scene where they were playing what seemed to be quite an intense game of chess. There was sweat beads coming down their forehead.
They're enjoying it far much more than us viewers are, that's for sure.
Well, it was a strange 5 minutes of very little dialogue and just very strange shots, close-ups of their eyes, the concentration. Like I say, it was like an 80s feel-good kind of Karate Kid film.
I know. I just can't work out where it's going. I mean, I can't work out why they're doing it or what they're trying to show. I suppose they're showing that kids from the rough area can be clever and good at chess, but
not chess. Yeah, I suppose it's one of those.
Doesn't need to go on for this long.
No, I suppose on this occasion though, the ultimate goal wasn't really about Bernadette and her chess skills, but this time it was more about Patrick, and we discovered something. We discovered Patrick's seedy internet history.
Oh my God!
It started off bizarrely when you saw him on his mobile phone, and he kind of. Do you remember the task they did on The Apprentice when they had to make the airline advert, and that guy kind of sat back and looked like he was pleasuring himself? It was very similar to that. Patrick was on his mobile phone. He got a text message from a mysterious woman. Then he from CX, and then he swiped across, and he saw these pictures of palm trees, Trinidad, and he kind of sat back, and yeah. He was having a good time looking at that text message and them pictures.
I mean, I've noticed they seem to do this quite a lot at the moment, is when they're trying to introduce a new storyline, they literally introduce it that episode. Like, they could have shown him sending some texts throughout the few weeks leading up to this, but it seems to jump straight into it.
Yeah, it came out of absolutely nowhere. There was no build up to it. You've had no background of that. Patrick has become quite competent at using the search engine and looking up.
Wow, he didn't hide his tracks too well, did he?
He did not. Well, that's the problem when you share a computer with your daughter.
I mean, obviously, Denise's GCSE is going to good use.
Very much so.
Was it in IT, maths?
No, it was the mathematics. Was it math? No, it was English. It was English.
Oh yeah, it was.
She did it in English. She got a GCSE in English. Hence why she was able to bunk off her job today, because
pulled a sickie.
She pulled a sickie.
She doesn't need that pay anymore.
No. She doesn't need that pay anymore, because Patrick did a bet, a £50 bet on what he believed was a 6-1.
Yes, because that was one that Bernadette looked up in the newspaper, wasn't it?
Yes.
She sort of gave a little hint, but didn't read the numbers correctly, apparently.
Well, no, nor did Patrick or Ted. But the name was linked somehow to Ted's name, and she was like, "Oh, you should bet on this, Ted. Look, it sounds like your name." Yeah, it was like Ted did or something like that. I can't remember exactly what now, but it was like a loose link, and because Ted had won the bet, because Bernadette won the very intense 80s style chess match, he was like, "Oh, I don't want your money, Patrick. Don't worry about your money."
That didn't make sense to me either, because he made such a big deal about wanting that money when he first lost the game.
When he stormed out the cafe.
Yeah, and then when Bernadette won it for him, no, I don't want it.
Yeah, he's such a proud person, Ted, though, isn't he? He almost does it despite his face, and so he's like, "No, Patrick, I don't want your." But again, why did Patrick put the £50 note in a little jar? Like, I expected when he opened it, like a fairy to come out, like from Zelda or something like that. It was like a ridiculous gesture to put this £50 note into a jar. If it was been lots of notes, like lots of £5 notes,
like say £3,000.
Well,
in a secure jar.
In a secure jar,
But
makes sense. Patrick needs to think about these things.
He does.
But yeah, so he put a bet.
No wonder Bernadette beat him at chess.
But, yeah, he's just got no forward thinking. He doesn't know where to store money. He's got a threadbare sofa that every time they put their hand down the side, they get another stuff of fluff coming out of it. So yeah. So anyway, Ted's advice, Patrick decides to go off to the betting shop and with his £50 on a 6-1 bet. Again, another very quite sexual. It was an acting masterclass by Patrick.
Oh, what, when he found out he'd won?
Well, no, before that, when he was doing the acting of listening to the horse race on the radio, and he's going, "Come on!" and he was, rattling his fingers together, making the clicking noise. Going, "Go on!" And then he thought the horse wasn't coming in, and he sat there looking all scared, his eyes widened, and then it was coming in.
Slow zoom on the radio.
Slow zoom on the radio. Him twiddling the knob, a few times, and then anyway, he found out he won, and he says, "Oh yay! I've just won 6-1, 300 quid." Looked at it again, it was 66-1. So this is math. So do the math. So it's about £3,500. So this is where the storyline now, which we were alluding to, where Patrick has been talking to someone on internet from Trinidad.
The love of his life.
The love of his life.
He's not mentioned before.
Who he's not mentioned
love
before.
of his life, because they had a childhood romance, apparently.
They did. She had an old photo of him and her together, and her name, fantastic name, may I say, was Renee de Boying. Renee de Boying and Patrick. Fabulous. It was a childhood dream, and she was.
Sounds like a soul sister.
It does. She was meant to be in a pageant, but then she was disqualified because she was having this relationship with Patrick, which on the island wasn't seen as the right thing to do. And so she put her olive branch out and got back in touch with Patrick. So Patrick was like, "I'm spending the £3,500 on a trip to Trinidad," although he'd only just come back.
I know he had, hasn't he?
Because it was June, July, August time when Denise had the money troubles when she was doing.
Yeah, it was sort of last summer, wasn't it?
Yeah, and he was in Trinidad and Tobago for quite an extended amount of time.
Enough for all the tins to run out in the cupboards. So he's gone for quite a while.
For the pasta to boil over.
Yes. Now Denise is spending money like anything.
He's got money to burn. Well,
taking
like I say,
time off sick.
Pulling off sickies.
Buying new sofas.
What would Kamel say? She pulled strings to get that job for Denise. What if Kamel had heard that? I'm surprised Kamel didn't knock on the door and say, "Hey, Denise, I hear you're not feeling very well."
She's been quite quiet recently, hasn't she, Kamel?
Well, after her rant about a fence being painted.
Multicoloured fence.
Yeah, her offended by the fence. She's gone a bit quiet. But there's been a few characters that have gone a bit quiet as of late.
Well, I'm going forward a few episodes, but I've got to say, I was very shocked to see that Michelle appeared. Finally. Does she have something in the contract where it's just one scene a month which keeps her employed, do you think?
Oh, yeah, maybe.
It's one of those things where she was just randomly, Big Mo's here, and then let Stacey in.
Well, you didn't know it was Big Mo.
No, but still. Yeah. But it's like, what? Where did you come from? She wasn't around for any of the, Patrick or the Aiden bits or anything.
Well, but she's here. She had anything to do with it. Her one and only storyline.
She lives in that house.
Yeah, well, no, she does. You're right, but it never really happened in the house, did it? Really, other than Phil kind of storming around on the Friday.
Shirley came in and yelled at Phil.
She's working at the department store.
What, all those late hours?
But again, department shops open late now, don't they? Yeah. 8 to 8, 7 days a week. Again, Michelle had all these storylines. Like, she came in with the storyline of her talking to a photo of Pauline in the laundrette, and you thought, okay, right, well, maybe we'll warm to her. She then had the stalker storyline, and they kind of...
Oh, they just cut that off, though.
They cut that short with...
That could have been quite good.
That's when the sisters got together, and that could have been excellent if they just gave it the time of day, but they decided not to. They wrapped a lot up, as we've discussed on numerous occasions. But there was also that storyline at the department store that they were hinting
because they kept showing her at work and talking to the employees and stuff, didn't they?
Yeah, and
so they had all the set and everything.
Well, I don't. That wasn't a set.
Well, some of it was like the back office and stuff.
Well, the tube train was a set, and they used that a lot because they used that when Shirley and Tina got stuck with her mum. Yeah,
that was the bus crash episode.
That was. Wow.
When we all thought something was going to happen on that tube and it never did.
When something did happen, they all got together and lifted a bus up so they could say...
Let's not talk about that.
Let's never discuss that again. But yes, so anyway, ultimately, Patrick won the money from the bet, wanted to go to Trinidad and Tobago, found out from Denise by her looking through his search history that he'd be basically made a fool of. She did a search of her and found out that he'd been catfished.
He had.
He'd been
He used to get on MTV.
He does.
Yeah, because she's had like 4 or 5 divorces, hasn't she? All from expats from Trinidad.
She does it thinking obviously she gets a little bit of income.
See, if he stuck with Yolandi, the real love of his life, she wouldn't do that. I feel sorry for Yolandi, just being written off like that.
She's all right. She's the owner of the Minute Mart.
Well, yes.
Corporation.
Multi-billionaire.
She's like the Richard Branson.
But she still does all the interviews.
Yeah,
and the disciplinaries.
At the head office, which looks like a little warehouse off the side of a industrial estate.
Also touching upon forgotten storylines, one that hasn't been forgotten is Ted's sort of, what is it, PTSD? What's it
post-traumatic stress disorder, PTSD.
Because obviously we saw that come out when he shot Johnny. Sadly, Johnny lived and stayed for a few more months.
Oh, that's harsh.
Well, the second actor wasn't the highest of class, but he wasn't. No, Ted, that's the actor's name. He didn't fit in. That's why he left the show.
It was hard. They kind of just shoehorned. He was always there,
Cardboard.
Just a token, wasn't he? He was always there as a token.
Well, he turned into an extra
near the end. He was mentioned actually, wasn't he, on Monday's episode, because they found out the takings weren't very good at the. Obviously, takings weren't very good at the.
I don't know why. Why?
I can't think why. Because
they weren't closed for a week, were they?
Well, they didn't have a lot of custom though, did they? Maybe
they had quite a few men in there at one point. 40 men. They could have bought a drink each.
Well, it was rude that they didn't. To be honest with you, they were all using the toilet, not buying any drinks, weren't they?
They should have taken their cut from the drug deals.
Absolutely. So Johnny was mentioned because it was said, if Johnny was still here, he could do one of his world famous quiz nights that he tweets about, so people know
and
about.
He wears his little pink sparkly jacket because he's a gay character. So of course,
because he's gay. Yeah, obviously. So their one and only money spinner, which is Johnny's quiz night, wasn't happening. So they thought, okay, we'll do a open mic night. We're getting ahead of ourselves. Back to
Ted and Joyce.
So Ted.
Not that anyone cares about them.
I must
say,
got
to get them covered.
They had a few great moments. Joyce is becoming almost one of my favourite comic roles, purely because she obviously told Patrick that they had a huge bill, a bill they didn't know about. That's mysterious. Was it their lawyer bill from the court case?
They're not in jail for having a firearm, so.
How indeed.
That's an automatic 5-year sentence.
It could be the fine that they were meant to have paid, and they, even on a pension, they had to save up for that fine. But Joyce announced to Patrick that they basically had this huge bill, and the money they were saving up toward going to Australia to see his son, so they could mend the bridge that had been collapsed for such a long time.
Because they've mentioned that quite a few times. Their relationship with their daughters and sons isn't very good.
It's a strained relationship.
They've never explained why, so hopefully
was something that might happen in future. But Ted wasn't very happy that Patrick found out, and you saw basically Patrick had ultimately decided, once he found out that he'd been made a fool of by De Boing, that he was going to give the money to Ted for going to Australia, but not before.
Did you just call her De Boing?
He's the girl.
Is that her name?
That's her name. I said it earlier.
De Boing.
Yeah, Renee De Boing. That's
Miss De Boing. Okay, sorry.
Ms. De Boing. There might be her married name.
Oh, yeah.
Might not be her first name.
Sorry, carry on.
That's fine. Joyce came. It's a good name though, isn't it? It's a strong name. I liked it. Anyway, Joyce got angry with Ted downstairs. Went to see Patrick to vent off some steam. Said cobbles, which quite honestly.
Pardon my French. Cobbles.
Cobbles. He's talking cobblers.
Oh yeah, because he lied and said that he went to a doctor's appointment and she doesn't believe him.
But he didn't, did he?
He sat in the shed.
Prescription. And she was so frustrated with Ted that she decided she was going to go to bingo. But it was just the build-up, wasn't it? It was like, I'm going to bingo. no. She went storming, coat swinging left and right.
Yeah, that was her.
That was her. So Patrick went to visit Ted, and Ted was in a darkened room, and you could hear. I thought you could hear the radio in the background, and it sounded like machine gun fire. So you kind of heard what he was thinking. So they're bringing back that storyline of his PTSD, which actually I hope they do, because it's a really real issue, and it's something that needs to be discussed more openly. Especially male,
especially
mental
with how
health.
sort of proud Ted is.
Yeah,
that's such an issue with sort of men his age, isn't it?
And again, they touched on it about 4 or 5 months ago when he shot Johnny, and then never really did anything with it. And so they're bringing that one back a little bit. Anyway, Patrick, as we discussed earlier, needs to learn how to give people money properly, and decided to post £3,400 because he kept £100 for a night on the tiles with Denise.
But not enough for a sofa.
But not enough for a sofa. He has to wait for the Christmas sales now. Anyway, and posted it through the letterbox for it to be received by someone else.
He said, Ted, make sure you come pick it up straight away. And then just left.
Because that's what you
Ted
do.
didn't reply to him.
No, but that's what you do, isn't it? You just leave a chunk of money in someone's doorway in a communal living area.
So if you used the jar that you used for the £50, he would have been safe.
No. Throw it through the window?
Oh, yeah. that would scare Ted. That might trigger something, actually.
You'll shoot blooming Patrick. We're going around full circle.
Oh, dear.
So that was the Ted, Joyce and Patrick and Denise story for this week. Obviously, as you say, we're going to probably be touching back to the chess storyline next week or at some point, because I don't think we've seen the end of that little chestnut.
No. It's the new bin storyline.
Yes.
So we also saw another regular return this week of Ian with his new stubble, his salt and pepper stubble.
His designer beard. He tried a moustache a few years ago. Didn't work out for him. He then tried
a hobo look.
I was about to say, he tried a hipster stringy beard. Didn't work too well for him. So now he's got a nice trimmed, tailored beard. Yes. And it suits him. He looks good. He looks like he's lost a bit of weight as well. His diabetes, he's keeping an eye on it.
He is that Australian sun.
Yes.
I mean, can we just discuss new Ian? Because he's just awful.
I know.
Why? He's come back from Australia. I mean, last time we heard of Peter, he was a drug addict and an alcoholic and wasn't functioning. He's come back from Australia with this new lease of life of positive thinking, and he's got this book.
Yes, the book. You can do it too, or something with Can Do, or something like that. I forget what the book's called. But the thing is that he said in one of the episodes that he didn't. While he was in Australia, he hadn't even got this new lease of life. It wasn't until he got onto the plane and the airline, those magazines you get with the airline, there was just a little article, maybe I think he said it was 12 paragraphs, and he read it, and that was it. That was him done. He's now got this whole new ethos and new look upon life.
Horrible.
It was horrible.
And that line when he was talking to his mum, Kathy, and he said, "Oh, I'm going to marry Mel." I just thought, oh, for God's sake.
Well, yeah, because it kind of contradicted also that he was not looking backwards or looking forwards, which was this mantra he kept repeating. And he was quite rightly advised that that's looking backwards. But something that really made me laugh at the beginning of the week when Ian basically said, as one businessman to one businesswoman, let's go out, have a drink, go to the Vic. Nothing more than that. It's absolutely fine. But every time Ian did something which was a little bit datey, or sounded like it was going to be a bit datey, it was almost like a carry-on, like a comedy film. She kept looking slightly off side from the camera, eyes looking wide, like a deer on ice or something like that. She always looked a little bit, and her mouth kind of tilted a bit like that. What?
Well,
and you always expected a
can you
wah.
blame her?
You always expected like a wah wah every time she looked at the camera.
Well, she just kept shooting him down, didn't she?
Well, that's because she has.
She has another stallion on her.
She does
her menu, doesn't she?
Which I have to mention straight away that Jack's turtleneck skills this week were.
I know.
Remarkable.
I've noticed that because Patrick was wearing one as well.
I didn't notice that.
Yeah.
I didn't notice that.
So it must be the in thing in Walford. Maybe Cush is selling them on his stall.
Well,
buy one, get one free, and they're all wearing turtlenecks.
No, he only does well, he might. But Jack has always been ahead of fashion in the square, because remember when he wore that cravat?
Yes.
He wore that beautiful cravat when he was selling off his houses that time. But he always wears a little... He's wore it all week. He wears a different colour turtleneck. He had a dark green one tonight. At the beginning of the week, he wore like a milk tray black one. I have expected him to come through the doors in like skis or something like that and just be like, "Hi, Mel."
Do you think Ingrid's, the nanny's, like buying him his outfits and laying them out for him every morning? It's what Ronnie used to do with the cravats, and now now the nanny's laying out his outfits for the week.
Jack can't.
Dressing himself.
I reckon Ingrid dresses him. I don't think Jack is able to do that himself. He just wakes up in the morning with his arms bent like, "Ingrid,
we haven't seen Ingrid for a while. Because her and Keanu are meant to be dating, but there's been no sight of her.
Again, I think she's a bit of a part-timer now. He's one kind of introduced for the... Well, Keanu's been busy this week, hasn't he? So he's not really had the time to woo Ingrid.
Well, yeah. Well, he's been busy since Christmas. She hasn't been there, has she?
No. Well,
to help him.
But she's busy. She's working. Need. She's looking after Jack's kids while he's off trying to get his end away with Mel, you know.
The fourth blonde, would it be?
Yeah, he's got a type, hasn't he? Yeah.
Sam, Mitchell, Ronnie, Roxy, and now Mel.
Was it Ronnie or Roxy that there was a letter sent to E20 this week?
Ronnie.
Was it Ronnie?
That was obviously Jack's ex-wife.
And she
wanted to know what he looked like.
That's right. She had that. She found a flyer, an old flyer. Don't you think the Photoshop on that flyer?
I know. It was like an old photo of Ronnie and Roxy. It was an old photo from like a promo shot from BBC, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And they just put it on like a background.
But do you think it was deliberately bad? Because you could see the white, but the white lines weren't even neat. They were just like jagged lines around it. Do you think that was deliberate, or do you think they just quickly rushed this flyer out so they could just progress this story, this quick storyline? Not even storyline. It was just a...
Who knows? It might be like an old prop, maybe. I don't know. It was an old photo because they looked different.
It just everything about it just looked awful. Absolutely awful.
The type of promo you would have expected from Phoenix, not E20.
Oh yeah.
If it was named Phoenix, that's the type of promotional.
Well, that's when it was R&Rs.
Yeah,
R&Rs, wasn't it? I've noticed there's a lot of whenever they get cut to the club, just so because if the club hasn't been used a lot, just to remind us that there is now a nightclub set being used in Mel's office. They have increasing number of E20 posters being stuck on the wall.
Not handed
opening
out.
soon. Yeah, they're not being handed out. They're just expecting people to know it's opening soon. When is it opening? They keep saying it's opening soon. Yeah, well, clearly. Like Mel said tonight when she left the pub after having a glass of wine, Jack was like, "Where are you going?" He's like, "I got work tomorrow. The club's opening soon."
It's probably because Sharon's left everything to Mel to do on her own.
But what's Mel doing? Oh, what's Sharon doing?
Wow.
She's just trotting around.
She just shoots off.
Well, she shoots off. Probably seeing
she's
Michelle.
She's always in like half a scene and then goes, "Oh, I've got to go," and then just leaves.
Well, she's off to see Michelle having
really
lunch.
Bizarre.
Ladies who lunch. Maybe they're going to the gym together or something.
Maybe
they got a membership for the Christmas wait.
But also talking about going back to what the Vic is trying to do to get his money back up. They've decided to host like a talent show this week. Obviously, Ian, being the new man that he is, wanted to volunteer himself, didn't he?
Well, he was being poked. He was gently being poked by Mick. Yeah, by Mick. Mick was I think it was. You get the idea that Mick did it on purpose to get a bit of a buzz around that. Hey, everyone! Ian Bill the Pratt is going to be doing something tonight, and it was. And it got a crowd, didn't it? It
did.
Some of the favourites in. We only got to see 3 acts.
Yeah, we saw Bex.
We saw
a bit of Bex.
And I was a bit disappointed that she didn't get quite the same reaction she did at the school concert when she got locked up in the locker. Where's Bex? Where's Bex? Bring back Bex. I wanted a bit of that, you know. She should have brought her posse along.
I know. Obviously, she only has one original song in her. One hit wonder.
She always sings the same song, doesn't she?
So we had her. We had some poetry.
Beautiful poetry
the lovely
by Shrimpy.
Multi-talented Shrimpy.
I was fuming they cut away from that. I genuinely thought they were going to show the whole poem. They showed the first line and then just the applause.
Because I thought like maybe he was going to sing because the actor has a band in real life. But no, multi-talented.
Well, poetry.
I wonder who he was writing that poetry to.
Don't know.
Tracy.
I was thinking Tracy. Tracy was there watching, wasn't she? She was front row centre. He's got. Oh, there was someone else he had his eye on, wasn't there, at the market stall years ago? I forget now.
I don't know. Was it another extra? Was it? Because there's that like hippie woman extra now.
Yeah. Or the one who looks like Yoko Ono.
Yeah.
The one who wears the beret who went to went to the funeral.
Oh yeah, Abbie's funeral.
Abbie's funeral. Randomly. Oh, if anyone remembers,
Every
please
week
let
we
us
have to
know.
make sure we mention Abbie's funeral because it's becoming quite a trend. We're still not over it.
We're not over Abbie leaving. You have to get over this. That shrine you put up in the lounge needs to be put down.
You can't.
You light the candle every night.
And the third act we saw was obviously Ian, who got Robbie involved.
Yes, it was like Ian was starting a cult. He was learning lines from that book. You Can Do It Too, or whatever the book was called. I forget now.
Maybe the author of that book is a cult, and it's going to be a cult story.
Well, that's what I thought. I thought maybe Ian was saying, one of those pyramid schemes, like what they have, like Fruit Plus or something like that. That's what I thought it might be.
In.
He's going to start like a Facebook page and annoy people by posting stupid videos like, "Hi everyone, this is what I'm doing today." So
what was Ian's talent then?
Well, it wasn't Ian's talent. Ian's talent was just standing there wearing
I thought that as well.
Yeah, wearing a shirt and a bow tie, which was a bit random.
He didn't even do anything.
Well, he did. He explained that basically if you use your mind, you can do anything. Mind over matter. And so he got these hot coals. God knows where he got the hot coals. Well, no, he bought the barbecue coals, didn't he, from the garage. So he got these hot coals, health and safety thrown out the window until Shirley discovered it, and wanted Robbie to walk over it. And Robbie was going to do it too.
He was. He put his foot on it.
He put his foot on it. Lightly just above it. Didn't seem to feel any pain, so perhaps there's something in what Ian was saying.
No, he did because he moaned that he had a splinter afterwards and got upset.
Yeah, but he got the splinter from the pub floor.
Oh, yeah.
The sawdust floor. So he got the splinter from that. So then, back to, Robbie being a bit of a wimp and Ian being a bit of a prat. Poor Ian, he got love. Do you reckon Ian's going to become like the Incredible Hulk and one day just have like a breakdown because everyone just laughs at him?
Well,
all the
I
time?
think what the new producer is doing is sort of putting him back to what Ian used to be. He used to be that sort of laughing stock Scrooge businessman, didn't he? And he's sort of matured a bit away from that recently. But,
he's had some really hard storylines.
Yeah, but I think they're sort of taking him back to what his character used to be.
Back to his roots, back when he was walking up and down the square trying to get his money because he was going to go bankrupt.
Yeah, things like that. So I think that's obviously a trend at the moment, bringing back the old.
Because he's given Masood back his job now, but he chucked Masood out, didn't he, from the fish and chip shop. So it kind of led to Kathy and Masood when Ian sacked him but kept the idea of the intellectual rights of his samosas.
Oh yes.
But we kind of got the inclination that Kathy actually does have a bit of a soft spot for Masood.
Yeah, because she was going on and on to Ian like, oh, you should let him have the samosas, they're really good, so they're this and that, don't be such horrible. But Kathy seems to forget she was against it for weeks when Ian wasn't there.
Well, she was, but she turned a new leaf and discovered that perhaps it wasn't such a bad idea.
Maybe she should give Ian some time to turn a leaf then.
Well, you're quite right, but Kathy, she's always nagging old Ian. Poor old Ian. Again, poor Ian. He's always getting downtrodden by someone or another, and honestly, on this occasion, it's his mother. But so Masood. Kathy said, I can't remember what Kathy said, but Kathy had said something and Masood kind of turned down, and you could see Kathy was notably a little bit upset that Masood wasn't interested in her in romantically. Not just yet anyway. I'm sure that's to come, because obviously there's also that brewing hatred between Masood and Ian that keeps boiling over and over and over. Masood obviously did the curry with the horse meat. in the Queen Vic with Shirley, and again there was that big argument where Masood and Ian was like, oh, you cooking this Indian meal, and they had this big what was it? He gave Ian the soggy chips. So he gave Ian the soggy chips.
He doesn't like Indian food
because he doesn't. Yeah, and then he basically chucked the meal on Ian's shirt, and Ian sat. Ian's. God knows what going through his head. Ian sat with Mel to continue that date with a
mind
big
over matter.
Well, that's true. With that big stain on his shirt, though, would you sit in a pub?
No, he doesn't want to risk his date with Mel, does he?
No, absolutely not.
What do you think about Kathy and Masood as a couple? Do you think that's going to be something that's interesting for people?
I mean, I think
it's a bit of a mismatch.
I don't think it's a mismatch necessarily. I just think that it's not particularly very interesting. I'll be honest with you. When Denise and Kush got together, I actually found that really good, and it kind of worked, and it worked out. And I suppose there's that kind of same idea, but no, I'm not particularly interested for it to happen.
No.
But then, to be perfectly honest, I'm not particularly interested in much Masood does,
No.
which is
It's a
unfair and
Because
it's a shame.
the two new characters that's come with him are really good.
His
But
aunt and uncle.
Yeah, I don't know why he came back so soon. It was only less than a year ago he left.
But then he did that once before. I don't know if the actor chose to do that, but he went off, meant to be going travelling with his young son, and then came back 2-3 weeks later.
Yeah.
It made no sense. It
Mm.
was ridiculous. Anyway, so we shall see. I think it's time that we have one of our segments.
Yes.
It's we because of last week we had a bit of a hiatus because there was a lot to talk about. I feel it's time that we bring back Just Doing This Now.
Just do this now.
And in honour of Big Mo's return to the soap
was
this
lovely.
evening, we will be looking into the life and times of Little Mo.
I
Play-
love Little Mo.
Well, I love Little Mo too. Little more. So you can't say Little Mo without doing
No.
doing that. Played by Casey Ainsworth from 2000 to 2006. So let's just...
Is that all that she was in it?
Yeah, she was only in it for 6 years. And in that time, she took 9 months maternity leave.
Oh my god.
There you go. So facts.
Yes.
Facts for
My
you.
Goodness.
So
So what's she been up to?
well, first of all, let's just give anyone who may have not watched the soap in that time just a bit of background information. So Little
Mhm.
Mo is part of the Slater family that was introduced in the year 2000.
yeah.
And she had a troubled couple of years, the first couple of years, because she was married to Trevor Morgan, which was a very abusive relationship. And
that was so good.
it was
that whole
excellent.
storyline.
The Christmas one. If you've not seen
Is
it,
that with the dinner?
with the dinner
Oh,
when he basically pours all that gravy on the top of the plate
Yeah.
and then squeezes her head onto it. Honestly, look it
He
up.
was terrifying, wasn't
He
he?
was a great character.
Mm.
More. Anyway, must stop. Anyway, that was he died from a fire
Mm-hmm.
after she hit him around the head with an iron, and then she later married Billy Mitchell. Don't know
Yeah.
if you remember that. And not soon after, she was then raped.
Was she?
Yeah, and from that she became pregnant, and that dissolved the marriage with her and Billy, because Billy, if it's not his own, he doesn't like
Was
it.
it one of the known characters that?
No, it was just
No.
like it was a character that
Oh.
came into the pub and kind of followed her home. That's when she worked at the pub. So on her return with the baby, which was named Freddie, she started then an affair with Alfie Moon, who was with Kat at the time, and Kat discovered.
God, I must have missed like her last few years.
She had
I must have been like that short bit where I didn't watch it, because I always remember Little Mo as like the nice little shy, quiet one.
She was shy and quiet.
Wow.
But she became
Affairs with-
empowered.
Yeah. My goodness.
No, when she stopped her affair, she then started a relationship with a guy called Oliver, who's played by a little-known actor called Tom Ellis. Do you know Tom
Ooh,
Ellis?
Yes, from Miranda.
That's right, and
Lucifer.
more recently Lucifer.
Yeah, that's an upgrade from Billy, isn't it?
I know. You're telling me.
Is
So,
that how she left?
well, Mo was then accused by Ben. Well, Ben Mitchell. Ben Mitchell hit Freddie. Mo was accused of it, and
Of child abuse.
of child abuse, and Oliver believed that she did it, and so they split up, and then she left. So a very sad ending for her. So
I remember her. I must have watched it again at her ending, because I remember them having a court case with Billy and Mo, and that being sort of her final scenes. Yeah.
and she left with little Freddie. So there's room for a return. Freddie, how old would Freddie be now? So he'd be 12.
Well, they had a few years, 15. Maybe.
Oh yeah.
When he
Yeah,
arrives.
Sorry, it's like dog
Bit
and
like
cat years, isn't
Hunter
it?
and Louise.
It's like dog and cat years. It's like 12 old, but in soap 19.
But she's not. She's mentioned. I remember watching her be interviewed on. I think it was Lorraine, like when one of her new shows was coming out, and she said, "I'd be quite happy to come back to EastEnders if they asked." So she's not sort of said no.
Well, this is what she's doing now. She's been very busy.
Mm.
Very busy. So just before she was meant to leave EastEnders, it was rumoured that she was joining the cast of Desperate Housewives, the American.
Yes, because she was going to play Terry Hatcher's role, I think, wasn't she?
Oh, no, I didn't
think
get
so.
that. That's interesting.
I may be wrong. I remember reading that.
That's
'Cause
interesting.
Terry Hatcher wasn't one of the first ones to be picked, because Courtney Cox was above her as well.
Oh, really? Oh, poor Terry Hatcher.
I know.
She's really gone down now. She's doing Bake Off.
I know.
She's doing. Dear me. So she stayed in the UK and did lots of dramas on British television, including the Americanized TV BBC soap Hotel Babylon. She was in the Casualty and Holby City Police spin-off. That's right, there was one called Holby
Yes,
Blue.
it only lasted for like one.
Josie Darby
One or
was in
two
that as
series.
well.
Oh, really?
I don't know why I always remember that.
Oh.
But yeah. And she's done loads on CBBC as well, Children's BBC. She's done Am I High, Tracy Beaker, and most recently, The Worst Witch.
Yes, I remember that.
She's also a recurring character on Grantchester, which is on ITV. And she is a panellist on ITV's Loose Women.
Is she?
She's done a couple of episodes of that.
My goodness.
Now, if you would like to catch her live, she's doing a stage show. She's just been announced to doing a stage show in a play called Holes, which is based on a book telling the story of Stanley, a Texan who's been accused of a crime that he did not commit. Now, it opens at the Nottingham Playhouse from the 5th to the 22nd of April, previews on the 31st of March. And all the information about purchasing tickets and Casey's Twitter handle can be found on the notes of this show.
Yeah.
So, yes, show her your support. But don't be throwing gravy dinners at her on the stage,
No.
because that would be that'd be most upsetting. So, yes, that's what she's doing now.
Just do this now.
Oh my god, I just can't get over that piece of music.
I love it. It's so funny. Right.
So we've just got that one more big storyline of the week to go through from our favourite new family.
Absolutely.
Yes, so we had another new character come in this week of Mitch, previously from Casualty.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
They do the rounds, don't they?
They do. So he has come in on the beginning of the week, had a bit of interaction with Kim, flirting with her on the way to the market. And we find out that he is to do with the Taylors. So
his first interaction with the Taylor family was with Keanu,
yes,
who
he's got a new job, hasn't he?
Yeah, so as he was eating his bacon sandwich and somehow dropping a bottle's worth of brown sauce onto his shirt, he was introduced back to Keegan's. We found out it's Keegan's dad, Mitch,
because Keanu didn't want him. He wanted him gone, didn't he? He didn't want him there.
Yeah, he knew, and rightly or wrongly, which we discover rightly, that Mitch was only
Bad
there
news.
for one thing, and he's bad news. Yeah, absolutely.
But I must say, really good character. I'd be quite happy for him to come back full time.
Yeah,
I thought he was good.
He was a good character. I don't think he could. I think it'd be difficult to pad out. I don't think you could pad it out much more.
Maybe a bit like Nasty Nick, just come in every
now and then. We will get to it, but I do think he will probably come back again.
Yeah.
Once the money runs dry. And also because we saw that once Karen and Keegan and all the family had accepted him into the fold, he seemed a little bit out of place. He looked.
He sort of didn't like. He sort of was sort of reminded that actually this family's a bit
dysfunctional.
Yeah, a bit busy.
Very busy. Yeah, there's lots of things happening around, and you have to keep up. But you also and Keanu could see that. Keanu after he was convinced to come back after he spent the night with Jay in his flat.
Excuse me.
No, I know, I just realised how that sounded.
Lucky Jay.
Yeah, indeed. I wonder how. Sorry, just on an off note, it's only just come to mind. I wonder how Jay is getting on with finding someone to rent the spare 2 rooms in their flat. They can't possibly be holding up the rent together.
Oh yeah, maybe they're doing a bit like a B&B. So Keanu spends £30 for a night.
Like a brothel.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, so that's just an afterthought. So I just thought that.
Find out next week.
Absolutely. So Keanu comes home after he's convinced by Karen to come home. Well, not by Karen, actually. It was by Keegan. He was told by Mitch what to say.
Oh, yeah, because Mitch said, I'm going to take everyone out for a breakfast one day at a time.
Yes,
and
because
took out Keegan, didn't he?
Because Keegan heard something about Keanu's dad.
Let's go back to that.
So let's quickly,
Oh
let's rewind back. So
it was proper EastEnders that was.
Absolutely. So you got the impression that Mitch kind of wanted Keanu to find out some information about his dad, almost to hurt him, almost to make him knock down a notch. Because
it was almost to be like, I'm a good guy, it's your dad who's
the bad guy,
one.
But also to almost add a weakness in this chain that is Keanu, because Keanu clearly is not the matriarch, but the head of the family. He's the man. He's almost like the dad of the family. And so Mitch, almost to knock him down a level, almost wants Keanu to know this information, and I think he's slowly trying to leak it and seep it in through. So I think he was pleased that Keegan found out this information.
Yeah, because Keegan sort of came home and sort of listening to what Karen and Mitch were talking about.
Well, they ate Karen's secret stash of chocolate, which is not a done thing to do.
Do not do that.
You do not do that, especially if Karen's gone out to tell Keanu this remarkably horrible news about his father, and then comes back
with no chocolate.
So
it was one of those things that wasn't sort of strung along for weeks. You sort of found out what Keanu's dad did, didn't you?
This secret came out straight away, and it's not a nice secret to discover either. And basically, you find out that Keanu is younger, and Keanu's dad
must have still been a baby.
When you're still a baby, he ultimately tried to stab. Well, he did stab and tried to kill Karen.
Because the only kids that around that time was Chantel, who we've not met yet, and Keanu. So no one knows that this happened. And then Keanu's dad, we found out, had 12 years in prison. I think they said, didn't they? 12 years to life or something.
Keegan asked where he was now. And Mitch didn't know. Mitch said, I don't know any more than you know.
Well, that's what confused. I don't know if Mitch was lying on purpose, but Karen said that he had life in prison, but then Mitch told Keegan he had 12 years.
Maybe so Keegan doesn't go look for him, so he doesn't go find him in jail, because Keegan might be curious to meet this guy. Again, I think, do you think that this father might be introduced at some point?
Karen phoned up her mum and was like, I need to tell you that we're back together. I want to see what Karen's mum's like.
I know. I hope it's
Karen's sister's like a posh chav.
Yeah. Well, she's
Karen's
played by
like S Club 7, Hannah.
Hannah from S Club 7.
Which she can come as well. I like her.
Oh yeah,
all the Taylors.
I want all the S
invited.
Club 7 to come along.
I
want them to sing a little song at the next talent night at the Vic.
So I'd be interested to see what Karen's mum's like. I wonder if she'll be the posher side or a bit rough, because we need a bit of a rough, older, Pat, Peggy sort of a woman. So
or a woman who's come into money, who used to be a bit on the rough. That'd be better. I'd love that.
So I was quite intrigued when I heard her talking to her mum.
Yeah, but then if you're telling her mum something that ultimately ended up not actually being true, which was a bit sad for her. So again, she's had the life sucked out of her. Because Mitch came along, so Keegan admitted he heard the conversation between him. Mitch fed the lines of what to say to Keanu to get him back home.
It just goes to show how easily manipulated Keegan is.
Well, you kind of got a small hint of that when it was Aiden. And yeah, he will do anything just to kind of be on the side
to
of...
feel a bit loved.
To feel a bit wanted, a bit intrigued. And yeah, so he did ultimately get Keanu back, and Mitch got a text message. So Mitch was in this kind of family environment, didn't seem very happy about it, and then got this text message.
From an unsaved number.
And there was a kiss at the end of it too,
saying, "Where are you?"
Where are you? Or where have you been? So again, he's obviously, it could be a daughter, it could be a family member, it could be someone.
It's hinted that it's obviously another.
Well, it's hinting it's a girlfriend or lady friend.
Maybe it's Karen's sister, Hannah from S Club 7.
Yes,
that'd be good.
That'd be going back to what we were saying about Little Mo and the secret affair with Shane Ritchie.
So he was doing that, and then obviously people were saying, the dog needs to be walked.
And no one wanted to do it because they were all settled in for the night.
He sort of put a little put down to Keanu, saying, "You're the man of the family, you do it," didn't he? But
yeah, and then Keanu said, "Don't get lost. It'd be a shame if you don't come back." And Keegan kind of gave him the death stare. And
He's getting good at that, isn't he?
He is. And Keanu kind of looked away quietly. But they're all full. They're all settled in for a night after their chicken nugget and chips. So Mitch said, I'll take the dog for a walk then. And as he went downstairs, the dog found the envelope of money.
Yeah, going full circle here.
Found the envelope of money.
So it's the money, obviously, that Patrick left for Ted.
For Ted to
Australia.
spend the money on, And it's basically taken the money and ran. The dog was found outside by
Joyce. Tied up.
Yeah,
And
obviously
she was like really happy about it as well. It was really weird.
Who Joyce was?
Yeah, she's like, he was tied up outside. He's like, all right, Joyce. And obviously, maybe she won at bingo. She was in a good mood.
Oh yeah. So maybe she won a couple of hundred
Took
quid.
her antidepressants. And she was away.
Had a gin. Had her one gin of the night. Remember when they had that glass of wine? They were both like, oh my goodness. And as she left, also she was like, oh, but see you later, Keegan. Like she made a special goodbye to Keegan as well. Like this special. Maybe we'll find out that Keegan's mother isn't Karen.
Maybe they're all from the same tower block, aren't they?
Yeah, they are. And he's run off with the money. So now again, Karen's disappointed, and Keegan straight away accused Keanu of spoiling it for everyone because he said that Keanu had basically driven him out by his comments and constant barrage of insults and nastiness toward him.
So do you think that's all we're going to see of Mitch?
No. As I say, I don't think he's got enough padding to be a full character. Not just yet, anyway. But I think he'll be back once he's spent £3,400. But I think it'll be interesting to find out what he spends it on. I think we might see a few scenes outside of the square. I mean, where
he's gone to.
Yeah, so maybe Keegan will be walking down the high street somewhere, or walking in the department store where Michelle works, and he sees Mitch in the background buying a watch or something like that,
or a ring or something.
Yeah, and I think something that probably would then link Mitch back into the story. But I think we've seen the back of him for at least a couple of weeks, and he will come back in again. But as you say, he's quite an interesting character. I didn't like the laundrette scene. I thought that was a bit over the top.
Oh really?
Yeah, especially when he showed his bum crack.
Karen's got a thing for bums. She keeps looking
cracks.
Wow. She kept looking at Jack's bum and Mick's bum.
Oh yeah.
She has a thing for bums. I think that's what they were.
Do you reckon Jack wears turtleneck pants?
Let's hope so. So they never
Fingers
come
crossed.
So one final scene on Friday's episode was obviously featuring Michelle.
Yes, Michelle's
very
like
prominent.
She's come in, and I don't know how to handle her. Not babysitting the person we see.
No. She was babysitting Stacey's kids.
Yeah.
And we found out that Big Mo is in the living room.
Yes, and with the revelation that she's dead. Kat is dead. Or is she?
Wow. Such a cliffhanger.
Such a cliffhanger.
We all know she's not dead. So next week, obviously, it's about Kat's funeral arrangements, whatever. Everyone knows she's coming back into the soap, so it's a bit of an odd one.
Yeah, but it's a
introduce. Yeah,
it's just a cliffhanger, isn't it? It's a tease. It's just a tease to get you to watch next week,
so
isn't
obviously
it?
Next week's going to be Slater heavy.
It's going to be a very Slater heavy episode.
Hey.
I thought actually that they were a bit quick to show that Slater trailer last week. I think it would have been better placed this week at the end of the episode. I half expected to see it again at the end of the episode. It didn't pop up, so I think they were a bit premature with their excitement over showing that Slater trailer last week. I think it would have been better placed.
It wasn't that good of a trailer anyway.
No, it was a cut together of scenes that we've not even seen this week. So again, there was no real reason for showing it. There's no build up for it. So anyone tuning in this week thinking, oh, hang on, we're going to see Little Mo and Big Mo and Kat and all the Slaters coming back, they'll probably be a bit disappointed. Well, but apart from the wonderful entertainment we got anyway.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
So that wraps up this week's discussions, doesn't it?
It does. Now, would you like to play a little game?
Ooh, of course. You have to ask.
Well, here we go then.
Okay.
Right, so...
Another jingle. Lovely.
I've been busy this week.
I can see. So what's this?
So this game is called Beales Real Deal.
Oh my god.
Now, I'm going to name an item that is sold in the world of EastEnders, be it from the market stall, the Queen Vic, or any number of the establishments in the square and Bridge Street, so on.
Right.
And you have to tell me if they are higher or lower than the last. And you'll get bonus points if you've had the exact price or Ian Beale's Real Deal. Okay.
Let's see what you did there.
It's just genius. So I came up with this in my sleep. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you the first item.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to just ask you if you know the price. If you don't know the price, I'll have to give it to you, and then we're going to go on to the next one. Okay, here we go. So the first item is the price Vincent paid for a DVD, signed picture, and a selfie of Magic Marv. Now, do you remember what Vincent paid?
I remember the Magic Marv. I've obviously blanked everything else. $12.99. Lower.
It was lower. He paid. He paid £10.
£10.
He ultimately
Okay.
paid £10. He offered 15. Well, Magic Marv asked for 20, 15. He kind of knocked him down, down. And Vincent eventually said, "Here, take this. Keep the change, £10." And got a free DVD of the world famous. It is a bargain, really. You could sell it on eBay for twice the price. So £10 is where we're starting.
Okay.
So, is the price of 2 coffees in cafes higher or lower than £10?
Just coffees.
2 coffees.
Lower.
Yeah, it's lower. Do you know how much? It costs quite.
Right. I'm doing maths for people who can't visually see me. I'm thinking.
It's quite soul destroying to watch this.
£5.
It's like
2.
No, it's £3.
What, for 2?
For 2 coffees,
Oh.
£1.50 each.
Very
I suppose
busy.
if you're going to look at it in that perspective.
Okay.
It's, watching you do this is like watching the chess in EastEnders. You know, I feel like I should mop
It's
your
more
brow for you.
realistic than it should be.
This is a skill, though. This is skillful.
So
chess.
I got 1 point because it was lower, but not the exact.
You were right with the being lower. So anyway, so 2 cafes.
You're keeping note of points.
Oh, I'll write this down. Hang on. There we go. So 1 point. I've written 1. Something I clearly can't remember. So 2 coffees at cafes is £3. So do you think that a Minute Mart sausage, mash and peas ready meal, so much choice, so much taste, is higher or lower than £3?
Higher.
Higher?
Yes.
And do you know what you think the price would be?
£5.
No, sadly you're wrong on both counts. It's lower. £2. What
For
meat?
what is it? Sausage?
2 sausages, mash and peas ready.
Maybe it's horse meat from Shirley's van.
I reckon it's just all the meat they sweep off from the floor, quite honestly. Mainly
£2.
£2.
Okay, right. Okay.
Well,
Next.
Right, so this is the final one, and
God.
if we do play this again, then this is the price we're going to carry over with.
Ooh.
So, do you think, from £2, do you think the price of curry, chips and a drink on curry night at the Queen Vic was higher or lower than £2?
Higher.
Yeah, and how much?
£7.50.
You were right to be higher, so I'll add an extra 1 next to make it a tally of 2.
Cool.
But you're wrong. It was £6.
Oh,
Or,
close.
as Mick put it, 6 jib when Ian asked how much it was going to cost. So that's what we're going to carry on over next time we
My
play
goodness.
Ian Beale's Real Deal. There we go. What
My goodness. Wow.
sandwich bookmarked beautifully by the
Oh.
jingle.
How intense that was.
Lovely.
Wow. Thank you for that. I think I need to go lie down now after all that. So thank you very much.
That's
And
okay.
we will see you all. Oh my God.
What?
I think I just left the hob on downstairs. The theme to EastEnders Weekly was written and composed by Klaxon. He can be found on SoundCloud under KLAXUN. Thank you all for listening, and if you'd like to subscribe and leave a review, it would mean so much to us, as it really helps the word get out that we're around. If you have any topics or discussion you want us to talk about, you can email us at eastendersweekly@gmail.com or send us a tweet at EastEndersWeek. We do live tweeting to every episode of EastEnders, so make sure you follow. See you soon.